Record. Okay, welcome everyone to tonight's business catch-up. And tonight we're going to be talking about, going through the back office and looking at some cool reports and some cool stuff that you can find in there. doTERRA's been kind enough to put all this stuff in there for us to use in our businesses, and we should go in there and use it to the best of our abilities anyway. And there is some really good stuff in there that we can use to help grow our business and help encourage and support our people. So because some of the back office stuff is a little bit personal and private, we don't want to be showing you people in our back office and what they're ordering. So what I'll get everyone to do is to log on to their back office and then follow through as I navigate through on the computer. So I won't share my screen, so you won't be able to see what I'm doing, but I'll describe the buttons that I'm going to. So if everyone can go in and go to their dashboard tab. So we'll concentrate on two tabs tonight. It'll be dashboard tab and team tab. And we'll do dashboard first. So this will be a really quick overview of some of the things that I know of. I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, so I'll show you a few of the things that we use in our business to work out where people are at and what we can do to help support people. You may know of other tricks as well, which is really awesome. So when you've gone into the dashboard tab, what you can do is, I won't go through the LRP or the my volume or my earnings because we went through my earnings last week. If anyone wants to have a look at that, the video has been uploaded to YouTube now. So you can go and have a look at it yourself. But let's look at that qualifications column, I suppose you'd call it, which is in the middle of the screen below the bar across the top. So what that says for you is what your highest rank ever achieved was, and when that period was. So you can click on the last 3 months and you can go back and see what your rank was for the last 3 months by clicking the down arrow next to the period button. And you can also click back through the ranks and find out when you might have been a certain rank in what period. Might be useful for someone, but that's roughly how that works. A lot of this back office stuff too, by the way, is just trial and error. So don't be afraid to get in there and click around and push buttons and see what things, how things work. You can't wreck anything. So yeah, I'd encourage everyone just to get in there and spend 10 minutes looking around and checking stuff out. The next one down is a really cool one. So in that qualifications column as well, power of 3. This describes how close you might be to getting to power of 3. So under power of 3, you'll see a row that says 50, 250 and 1500. Another row that says what your team volume is. So your team, to get power of 3, you need a team volume of more than 600 PB. So that's one of the qualifying points as well. Our team volume is certainly more than 600 PV. And you'll see two buttons below that. One says full detail and one says filter detail. Let's click on the full detail button and see what comes up. And apologies if mine's faster or slower than everyone else's system, but ours has just popped up now. So what this button does is tell you which people you use to qualify for power of 3, and they'll be coloured in purple, and which people who are not qualifying you for power of 3, and which people you're using for your, well, which people doTERRA is using for your group volume. So group volume is not a really big one to worry about. That'll just happen naturally. And hopefully by the time you've got your 50 PV, your group volume is always above 600 anyway. But if you look at the top person that's coloured in, that will be you. And if you hover over that person, it says, gives you some details on yourself. The next row down will be your frontline people. So you can only qualify for Power of Three $50 off your frontline people who have their 100-point LRP order put in for that month. So if on the next line down below yourself you've got a couple of purple people, you can hover over those people and it will tell you who those people are that have their 100-point LRP in for next month or this month. There'll also be some non-qualified people, which will be people who don't have their 100-point LRP switched on for the month. So if you needed to get your $50 LRP for the next month, you could talk to those people and see if they wanted to order or encourage them to do something so that you get your 50 PV. It's not something that I would encourage everyone to do because it can be a bit of an icky conversation if you need to ring someone up and say, can you place an order so that I get some money? But it does help you look through and say, for example, you had someone on your front line who had a 98-point LRP placed for next month, and they were the last person that you needed to get your Power of Three. Say, for instance, you had two other people that already had 100-point orders in. The third person only had a 98-point order in. You could ring that person up and say, look, if you put another $2 into your LRP this month, it would really help me. And, you know, obviously you would get your 50 US dollars, which is about $65 Australian paid into your account next pay run. The next row down is your second row. So you're underneath your front line. It's your front line's front line, if you like to call it that. And that shows you the people in that line who have their 100-point LRP order on. So it gives you a little bit of a map of how you're traveling for your 50 PV Power 3, your 150 PV LRP Power 3, and your 250 Power 3 and your 1500 Power 3. Quite handy, you know, if you're getting close to getting Power 3 and you need to do a bit of work. Or it can also show you where you've got your gaps. So it might show you that you've only got one person on your front line who, for example, is contributing to your Power 3, which obviously highlights to you that you need another two people on your front line to try and get yourself there. On your second line down, it might show you that there's a couple of people with 100-point LRPs on, but a couple of people without. And that might be a trigger to go and put some extra people on that row if they're really interested in their oils, and they're going to order 100 PV every month. Those people obviously will help you get your Power 3 as well. So that's enough about that. If you want to know more about Power 3, you can obviously Google it, or you can give me a call and I can explain it to you. So let's go back. Let's scroll down. And over on the right-hand side of the screen there, underneath Learn, Focus and Grow, there's a couple of tabs underneath there. One's called Events. And in there, it's got the dates for the AUNZ incentive trip in 2018. And below that, there's some popular links. Now, there's some really cool information in popular links there. There's some current promotions in the top link. There's a product blog, there's a business blog, there's a science blog. So if you click on science blog, for example, I'm just going to click on a few things because we don't have time to go through everything. If you click on science blog, you can go in there and read, and it opens up a separate window. There's some research news that you can go in and read about. There's safety and physiology, there's weight loss and wellness, and there's science for kids. So let's quickly click on research news in that tab. And it opens up some really interesting research on quite a few doTERRA products there. Now you'll see down the bottom there's more than 5 pages worth of links there. So at the top of the screen you've got Carvone, you've got linalool, then underneath that you've got reduce sad feelings with essential oils. And you've got vetiver, and is an environmental something. I can't read the whole word. Then the next row down is doTERRA vetiver study and chemistry of Siberian fir. So there's heaps and heaps of information in there about particular products, chemical compounds and oils that can help you in your marketing as well. So certainly encourage everyone to go in there when you've got 5 minutes to spare, or if you're lying in bed at night, and read some of those studies. They're really interesting, and some quite compelling information in there. I personally haven't read them all, but I've read a couple of them, and yeah, there's really good information, so check on that. So if you just close that window down that I just opened up and go back to your main doTERRA.com back office window, once again under popular links where we just were, there's questions and answers, there's daily drop, there's Living doTERRA and Healing Hands Foundation. So if you click on Healing Hands Foundation, for example, it explains to you what the Healing Hands Foundation is and what it does. It's an amazing foundation. Tells you all the information about it, how you can contribute towards it. Talks about the rose hand lotion and how that contributes towards healing hands. The Hope Oil, which everyone should have in their LRP every month. So 100% of your Hope Oil purchases go straight to Healing Hands. There is no cut off the top for anyone. It goes straight to Healing Hands and goes to helping those people throughout the world. So everyone should have Hope Oil in their order every month, just for that reason, and because it smells really nice as well. There's some information there on corporate partners as well. So Healing Hands is doTERRA's charity, I guess, and then there's corporate partners underneath, which is some other charities that doTERRA contributes towards. So Mentors International, Days for Girls is a really good one. Operation Underground Railroad, which is the preventing child sex trafficking. There's some really great stuff that doTERRA has been able to contribute towards there. It's not doTERRA's charity, but they contributed a lot of money towards it, and they do a lot of fantastic work. So encourage everyone to go in and read. There's lots of information further down there as well on other projects that doTERRA contributes towards. So check that out. Okay, if we close that window down again and we go back to the main doTERRA front page. Oh, hi Kelly, I just realised that you've joined the queue. How you going? You're on mute, so if you do need to talk, just take yourself off mute and ask a question or yell out. Okay, under quick reports, there's a few really quick reports here that are sort of standard-ish sort of reports that doTERRA set in there that are quite handy. I think they speak for themselves. So the first one is who's enrolled in the last 3 months, who has 100 PV LRP but no product of the month. So let's just click on that, for example, and that will give you a list of people in your team who have 100 PV LRP, but they don't have 125 PV LRP, and they could be getting the product of the month. So that might be some marketing that you choose to do to your team, is to go through those people. What you can do is you can highlight the screen. So you can start from top to bottom, highlight all the data that's in that quick report that's there. You can grab the name from the name column and the email from the email column, and you can contact all those people by email, whether it's through MailChimp or whether you do it the slow way through Outlook or something like that. And you might talk to those people and go, look, you know, if you put another 25 points in your LRP cart, then you get the product of the month. Little things like that. There's phone numbers there as well. So, you know, if you don't have many people there, you might choose to phone them or SMS them. One thing that we do with SMSing is we use a website called SMS Broadcast. So what you can do is you can download that report. All you need is a list of phone numbers, basically. So they have to be mobile numbers. You can grab those phone numbers and put them into SMS Broadcast, and you can send those people a private SMS You can address them by their name. So the SMS could be, you can put these, if you had, say, 50 people in there, you can put those 50 phone numbers in and their names, and you can tell SMS broadcast to, say, in the SMS, good morning, Jenny. I notice you've only got 100 PV LRP on. If you put 125 on, you can get the free product of the month. That's a whole nother training that I can do on that. But if anyone wants to do that straight away, let me know. All you've got to do is go and set an SMS broadcast account up, and each SMS costs about 10 cents, I think it is. So it's quite cheap and quite easy to do. You get about 161 characters in an SMS for 10 cents, which is, you can get a pretty good message to people for 10 cents. But check that out. Give us a call if you want some more information on that one. Let's go back again to the main back office screen. You can get a list, under that quick reports again, you can get a list of people who are not on LRP. You can get a list of people who have got a $100 order in but didn't do it on LRP. So those are the people who have put a single order in without putting it through their LRP. So they might be people that you want to educate and say, look, if you put that order through on LRP, then you would get points back, and you get the opportunity to earn commissions as well. Below that, you've got the number of, the list of people who didn't order in the last 3 months, or didn't order in the last 4 months, or a month OV change. I've not done that report. I don't really know what that is. And you can get a list of people who do get their power of 3. Okay, if we scroll down a little bit further, there's 3 reports across the screen there. So that gives you a list of your top volume, people with top volume percentage growth. So they might be people who you look down there and go, oh, those people are really starting to grow. They could be starting to enroll people themselves, or there could be someone in their team who's starting to enroll people themselves. In the middle there, you've got top enrollers this month. So that gives you a list of who's enrolling lots of people. So you might have a young builder that's just popped up in your team. You don't know them, or you didn't realise that they'd started to build. You can have a look at that and go, oh, Mary has started to enroll some people. Maybe I should contact her and give her some support, or give her some help, or even introduce yourself if you don't know them. Then the right-hand column is new advancements. So that tells you people who have ranked to new ranks this month. So once again, they're people who might be starting to grow their business. Underneath those tabs, you can view the full list. So there's only about 5 people on the screen there. You can view the full list for each one of those reports, which might be handy for someone. And underneath that is another table with some fancy coloured crosses. There's green ticks, there's orange triangles, and red crosses. So the first tab in that column is for my enrollees. And what that's doing is telling you all your enrollees who have their LRP switched on, or have not got their LRP switched on. It tells you whether they're getting the product of the month. It tells you what their PV is every month and what their OV is every month. So what you might use this column or this report for is to look through and see how many people, and you can view the full list. So on the top of that box there, you can click on the box that the text that says view full list. If you do that, it gives you a list of all your enrollees and what their LRP status is every month. So green tick means they've got over 125 PV on their LRP, so they're getting the product of the month, they're getting their commissions, they're all sweet. The orange box, and if you hover over the orange box, it says template has problems. It might be that they have placed an order and deleted their LRP template. You can see some people in there have placed more than 100 or sorry, or even more than 125 PV on their LRP, but it still comes up and says the template has problems. So it might be that they've placed the order and then they've deleted their template, which means that they might not be getting their commission that they are due because they've deleted that template. So that might be a phone call to say, oh, look, do you realise you could get some more commissions this month if you set your LRP template up and leave it in there? You don't have to place the order, you just go to your template there and then ultimately place the order, whether it's this month or next month. It also obviously gives you a list of people who don't have their template set up. So if you knew of someone who was going to be due some commission because they might have had a workshop, you can quickly go into there and see whether they do have their LRP set up. You can also click on the new members tab above that and it will give you the same report for all your new members. So you might use this report to go through and contact all your new members and say, hey, I've just noticed you haven't got your LRP switched on. Tell them about LRP, how it works, and so on and so on. Obviously, the people that do have their LRP switched on are the ones that you don't need to talk to because they've already figured it out. So there's some really good information in there for you and your teams to help encourage people and educate people on particularly LRP. Okay, as I said, that's a really quick run through. Let's go over to the team tab now. So in the next few months as well, I'll do some more training on the back office, on some of the little intricate reports that are hidden in different places, or not hidden, but they're just not obvious for people. Okay, in the team tab, there's lots and lots of information in here. So for people that are new to LRP, new to doTERRA, like for example Kelly and Taylor, you may have already figured this out, but if you go on the top there under My Business, there's a button called Graphical Tree. If you click on that button, it gives you a graphical representation of what your tree looks like and who is in your team. What you can do is in the tree configuration row that's there, you can click on tree configuration. What you should do is change the number of levels to 9 levels and just change the node size to small and just click update report. And it gives you a more detailed list of whoever's in your team down to 9 levels deep. And it makes the buttons a little bit smaller as well so you can fit more people on. So you can scroll across to left and right, and you can scroll up and down there as well. Now this report, this graphical tree option only gives you down to 9 levels deep. So if you want to see below 9 levels, what you need to do is find someone in the area of the tree that you want to look below 9 levels, find out what their enroller ID is, copy that enroller ID, and then paste it back up into the report and tell the report that you want to look into that enroller ID below 9 levels, and it'll look further down. So if you don't know how to do that, what you do is you, for example, you find someone who's deep in your tree and there might be some little arrows at the bottom that you want to look further down. You click on someone who's deep down and maybe at the top of a little branch of that tree. You click on that person, it'll come up with a dialog box and it'll say what the person's name is, and if you click on wellness advocate information, it will come up with all their details, tell you all about their PV and their OV, who their sponsor enroller was, what their sponsor ID was, and so on and so on. So what you do is you, in the top of that box, there's an ID number underneath that person's name. All you need to do is hover over that ID number or copy it, and then go back to the team tab and paste it into the so for example, when you're in when you're in graphical tree, and you go to tree configuration, enter ID or name, it will default to your ID or name. So if you want to look deeper into your tree, you copy that person who's deep down in your tree, copy their ID into that box and just update the report, and it will give you details of that person's tree who is deep down in your tree. Hopefully you can follow that. But that's how graphical tree works. Detailed genealogy is a really good one. So if you click on, under my business, click on detailed genealogy, this is where you can crunch out some really cool reports. So the focus ID should be yours. You can obviously change the focus ID to look at other people who are in your tree and focus on those. If you want to look at people, if you want to generate a report for everyone who is in your team, the focus ID should be you. The number of levels should be 0 to 99. So you need to change the 10 to a 99. The type should be sponsor tree. The members should be entire organization. And then what you can do is you can go to the columns button, which is below that. You can expand columns. And what you can get it to do is give you all sorts of information in a column format of your people. So when you click on the columns button, it comes up and tells you what it is giving you a report on at the moment, which is a lot of stuff. What you can do is click on the all and then the little arrows to the left button, and it takes all the information out of the report except for the person's name. Now, for example, you might want to do a report on, say, a person's name, what their home phone number is. Now, just be careful with home phone, because sometimes home phone, work phone and cell phone, a lot of people only put their mobile phone number in, so their phone number might be in cell phone. So if you really want to find out what their phone number is, you put work phone on. So what you do is you click on, say, for instance, work phone, and then the little right arrow button next to that, and work phone goes across. Then you click on cell phone, click on the right button, and cell phone goes across into displayed columns. And you might also want to find out, for example, let's find another piece of information. You might want to find out what state they're in. So you click on the state, take it across into displayed columns. You can reorder the information that's in displayed columns. So if you wanted their name to be last, you can click on their name and go down and push their name right down to the bottom. I always prefer to have their name at the top, so push it back up to the top. And then all you've got to do is click Update Report, and you'll see below that the report updates and the columns change to just the columns that you requested. So you might use this report to find out all of the people who are in your team in New South Wales and their phone numbers, because you want to contact them, or you want to get their emails, or whatever it might be. There's a lot more information you can do with this. You can copy that information out and put it into Excel and filter it. Obviously, the data that goes across to Excel is a little bit clunky, but you can fiddle with that data. You can split the names apart. So if Mary Smith goes, is her name, and it goes across and you copy it into Excel, you can split the Mary and the Smith up. The phone numbers go across. Some go across with dashes in them. You can trim the dashes out in Excel, which I'll go into in another day. That's a whole new piece of training there. But if you're only good at Excel, you can go through and obviously get rid of the dashes out of the phone numbers quite easily. Sometimes the phone numbers go across without the 0 on the front. There's a little formula that you can do to put the zeros back on the front so that you can get their full phone number. Then you can filter by state. So while you're in this report in the doTERRA back office, if everyone's state has come over and you've got some people in New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia and so on, you can just click on the state heading at the top of the report, and it will filter everyone by state. So for example, we'll put all the A's at the top, the B's, the C's, and so on and so on. So you can group people by their state. You can then go back and click on the name column right at the top of the report, and it will reorder everyone into alphabetical order, either starting with Z, or you can click on name again and it will start with A at the top by last name. So, it gives you an alphabetical list of everyone. Excuse me. So there's a lot of information that you can do there with your columns. So I'd encourage everyone to fiddle around in there. You know, the way we use this is to copy out all people's information and put it into Excel so that we can filter that information and tidy it all up. And then we can take that information and put it into something like MailChimp, if you want to send everyone an email. Or, like I said, you can put it into programs like SMS Broadcast if you want to send everyone an SMS. Or you may just want to have a list of all your people and all their details in an Excel spreadsheet, which we do, which we sort of struggle to keep up to date, but we do things like you know, work out who's done oil camp and who hasn't, and use Excel to filter information out like that. Okay, so we'll jump out of that and we'll just go back to the Team tab again. So if everyone just pushes the button that says Team tab again, and there's lots more information in here. I'll try and skip over some of the really cool stuff. Sponsor changes, striking distance is not a bad one. So if you click on the striking distance button underneath My Business and go into there, what this gives you is a report on how close all your people are to a certain rank. So up the top of this report, there's a rank striking distance button. If you click on a certain rank in there and say you want to see everyone who, how far everyone is off executive, if you click on executive and give it a couple of seconds to update, it will tell you how close all your people below executive are to getting to executive. So what ours does here is says that there's a column there that says percentage to rank, and it gives you a list of people below executive who might be 99, 95, you know, 90% off getting to executive. So you can use this report to see how close or how many people you might have that are getting very close to a rank every month. And they might be people that you might place a phone call with or an email and just give them a little bit of support and some encouragement. If we go back to the Team tab again, once again, there's a lot of mucking around that you can do in here. There's heaps and heaps of reports. And the sky's the limit. You know, you can think about how you might use these reports to contact your people and help yourself as well. So once you go back in the Team tab main screen, what else is there? That you can get a list of people below below My Business. You can get a list of people who might have cancelled their LRP in the last 60 days. So they might be people that you would contact to give a little bit of support to and find out why they might have cancelled it. Encourage them to put it back on if that's what they need to do or want to do. Upline listing is an interesting one as well. So if you click on upline listing and then there's a little report button below that, that gives you a list of your entire upline. So we will be there somewhere. You can see how many people are above you all the way up to the first person on the doTERRA list, who for most of us will be someone in America. You'll notice that a lot of the names that are on there are LLCs or proprietary limiteds or something like that. So these are people who have a doTERRA account who have turned it into a business name. So you may not be able to see their personal name, but you can see their business name. Our report is way less than 1 page long, which says that we are, you know, relatively close to the whole top of the tree, which sort of suggests that doTERRA is still quite young in its development. Another interesting thing that you'll see there is you'll be at the top, obviously, but if you look at the tree, you're at the bottom, so it's vice versa, it's upside down. You'll see people who perhaps are above you who are not as high a rank as you, which is proof that doTERRA is not a pyramid scheme. So with pyramid schemes, it's always the person at the top makes the most money, and the people below them can never make any more money than the person above them. But doTERRA is certainly not like that. So, for example, in our tree, we've got people who are blue diamond, and we've got people above those people who are golds. So they're obviously not building their business. They're benefiting a lot from that blue diamond volume that might be below them, but they're not doing anything with their business. So, you know, that's fine. We've got people who are premier, and they're above blue diamonds. So, you know, they've obviously never done anything with their business. They've got a lot of volume sitting below them, and they're just sitting there on a premier wage, benefiting from a massive volume that's underneath them. So good luck to them. Okay, so just clicking back to the team tab again. We'll finish up quite soon rather than labour this too much. What else is interesting here? There's a couple of graphs over on the right hand side, so you can get a view of your team by rank in a little bar graph. If you hover over each of the little bars, it tells you how many people you've got in your team that are elite, executive, directors, managers and consultants. Below that, there's a little graph that shows you how many wholesale customers, how many wellness advocates and how many normal customers you have. Don't get too worried about the numbers that are in there. The numbers in ours are not right. So I think we've got about 800 people in our team, and it's only telling us we've got about 750. There's a little glitch there somewhere. There's some other interesting information in there about how many people are on different levels. So on your level 1, it'll tell you how many people are on your front line. On your level 2, it'll tell you how many people are on that row, right down to level 9. So it gives you a little bit of a map, I suppose, of how deep you might have built and how wide your tree might be down to level 9. Below that is also a list of people in your team from different countries. So if you're like us, we only had people in Australia in our team for quite a while. I went in there today and went, oh wow, where have these people popped up from? So that's the beauty of having builders in your team. We've got people in our team now who are in Japan, New Zealand, Portugal, USA. No idea who these people are, but they've popped in there because someone's enrolled someone in a different country, which is fantastic. And that'll happen to you as well. Okay, that's enough of me rabbiting on, I think. There's heaps and heaps more information in there. We could spend hours and hours here going through it, so let's wrap it up there. We might do another one of these in the near future and go through some other stuff as well. But what I'll do is I will pause. I'll stop the recording.